Welcome to the Trump Tyranny Tracker. We're back on a Monday. It's July 28th. It's good to be back with you. Day 188 of the Trump administration. Here's Olga Lautman, the creator and founder of the Trump Tyranny Tracker. Hi, Olga. How are you?
Good. Missed you. We haven't done
We haven't
this.
seen you for a while.
You know, stranger. No, good.
Everything's
Chugging
going
along
well?
with all the news and with all the help. We're here.
Well, I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad everything's okay in your world. And we are going to give you the biggest stories right now that are happening in authoritarian creep, but we can't let the moment go by. We have to talk a little bit about Epstein and this constant barrage that the president is facing of Epstein. It's not going away, obviously. This is a story that's going to be with him maybe till the very end.
Definitely could be. And I mean, Trump is definitely making himself look more guilty each day with
Yeah,
each action. And as they say, it's not sometimes you can get away with the crime, but not the cover up.
yeah,
And
it's a cover up that gets you.
yeah, here with everything, including his using his personal, former lawyer, Blanche, to go and give limited immunity to Gillen Maxwell. I mean, this woman is a monster. She is as responsible for the trafficking and abuse of over 1,000 children as Epstein is. So, I mean, the fact that he's floating, potentially pardoning, maybe I won't. I mean, there should be no in between.
Yeah.
There should be a very concrete answer to something like this.
And it shouldn't be some public negotiation in any event, but the fact that he's directly involving himself and his own lawyer in offering clemency is ridiculous. It's just it's beyond reproach. Now, the president has swung back today with more allegations. We've heard them before about Beyonce and Oprah and the Kamala Harris campaign. This is ludicrous stuff that he's sending out there, but it does indicate how much pressure he's under, because if he's floating the biggest names in the Democratic world, he's willing to go after the very, very top of the Democratic world, then, it means that he feels like he is really under attack personally.
Yeah, I see it as that way, and it's definitely he feels the pressure, and he is attempting to deflect from Epstein. But frankly, I would not put it solely as deflection. I actually wrote an article last week about Obama's attack, and they are laying the groundwork, and we have seen them use and weaponize agencies to start investigations against people. And I mean, for everyone who has watched this MAGA base, as big as Epstein is, the conspiracy for the past decade within the MAGA base and QAnon and all of that, so is arresting Hillary Clinton and Brennan and Comey and Obama and everybody from the involved in the 2016 election who was there or doing their jobs. So I mean, I wouldn't put it past, because it is partly deflection, but it is also partly his base. If you look at, I mean, they are demanding arrest, now. Like, they want everyone arrested now. And this is what they've always demanded, and this is what he promised them from the 2015 campaign, lock her up, on down. And now we see him using agencies to go after people. So I would take it seriously with this.
You started a very interesting series on one of your websites about the 2016 election interference campaign. Tell us a little bit more about that and why that ties into what's going on here.
Actually, after having a very exhausting week and just in general, like being drained from covering the news, when he threatened Obama, like, that fueled me. I mean, the fact that Republicans are now trying to change the narrative and rewrite history of what Russia did to U.S. elections, I monitored it. This is how I even got involved in 2015, watching Russia, and their operations against the U.S. So basically, this series is going to go through, the 500 plus ways and contacts and dealings that they had during the 2016 election. And the series actually, yesterday, Julie Roginski and I are working on this series. Yesterday, we released the first edition. to show how active measures works and how the Soviet Union and KGB used it. And then we'll start, at 2008 and move forward and saw every single action that Russia took to prime the attack for the election.
That's amazing stuff, and no one knows it better than you and Julie, so that's terrific stuff. Can't wait to read all those installments of your new series. Let's get into the Trump tyranny tracker. Darren Beattie, a State Department official fired in 2018 for speaking at a white nationalist conference, has been appointed acting president of the U.S. Institute of Peace. Beattie later founded the Revolver News, a far-right conspiracy outlet that spread false claims about January the 6th. His appointment follows mass firings at USIP as part of Trump's broader push to dismantle the agency. Well, just another example of the enemies of running the institutions now. It's really crazy.
Absolutely. And I mean, he's been in the State Department already. And the fact that you have these white supremacist sociopaths inside the government and now running this agency that, they illegally seized. I mean, if you remember how this agency was seized, it was meth operatives like banging down with
Yeah, Big
marshals.
Balls was running it, I think, for one day.
Yeah, I think so.
Something
And
like that.
it's disgusting, and it just shows you the very fascist undertones of this regime. It's not only that this is a dictator, that Trump is a dictator, but you see, everything what they're doing with universities in order to enforce, ideological MAGA conformity. Everything they're doing with stacking the government with these fascist Nazi supporting figures. I mean, that just shows you where we are. And in a normal world, this guy wouldn't get anywhere near any agency. He wouldn't even get near the front door of an
Never mind
agency.
this one, which is such a vaunted one. The Trump White House is preparing the second rescissions package targeting the Department of Education and may test a legally dubious maneuver called pocket rescissions to bypass Congress entirely. Under the scheme, OMB Director Russell Vought would withhold funds near the end of the fiscal year, then claim they've expired without needing congressional approval, a direct assault on Congress's constitutional power. This is really important because this is the administration actively interfering in the rights of the Congress.
They're overriding the rights of the Congress. And if we remember, just to remind, Russell Vought was one of the architects of Project 2025. And I mean, Project 2025 was about moving all the power, stripping it from the legislative and judicial branch over to the executive branch. And here we see them doing everything. Frankly, Congress doesn't exist and they don't need Congress. They are finding every single loophole to bypass Congress.
They really are. This is really a offensive and potentially is a constitutional crisis if they are withholding funds on this basis and just an arbitrary basis like this by withholding funds at the end of the fiscal year. That's really not the way things are done. The Department of Justice is pressuring battleground states like Minnesota, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Arizona to purge their voter rolls, citing Trump's March executive order. DOJ is demanding detailed data on inactive, deceased, and non-citizen voters while backing lawsuits from far right-wing groups like Judicial Watch to force removals, a coordinated effort to restrict voting access in these states. This is a very significant thing as well.
You see, they've been dismantling on a federal level the election infrastructure, and now they are moving to intimidate states and threaten them with funds. And this is all, ahead of the 2026 midterms. They are doing everything they can to try to purge voters, to try to get voter rolls, to get information on voters, and something that we really need to pay attention to. And at the same time, this is something we can push back. And also for ourselves, every single eligible voter in America, up to the last day needs to check their voter registration like religiously on a daily basis to make sure they haven't been purged. That way, in the case they see they're purged, there's still time for a remedy before midterms.
And this isn't arbitrary. Sorry, this isn't arbitrary. This is swing states. These are the big battleground states. So, they're obviously planning something for the next elections, or
Mm.
trying to change things for the next elections. Our final story: Trump's FCC approved the $8 billion Paramount Skydance merger, but only after requiring a bias monitor to oversee CBS News and forcing the company to eliminate all DEI programs. The deal follows Trump's $16 million settlement with Paramount and the abrupt cancellation of the Colbert Report after he criticized the network's capitulation. A clear pattern of misusing the regulatory powers here, but a bias monitor in our news networks? That sounds like a state censor to me.
That you can actually speak to because you've been covering the Paramount beat and what happened in CB. Yes, and absolutely. I mean, this is how you get to, how Russia took over all media and turned it into state media from using agencies to go after media outlets. And in this case, you see, in order for this merger to come through, now they will have to have a bias monitor, which bias, who determines what bias is. And I mean, CBS may be very well on its way to becoming state propaganda. So I mean,
I think
something,
it
but you
is,
could
yeah.
speak to it a lot more because you've been covering CBS and just what is happening internally in there.
Well, it's difficult to imagine that such a special place, which, gave us Walter Cronkite, is now, has a state censor. And it does feel like a state censor. We used to have these in South Africa, the falling days of apartheid. They put monitors, people in our newsrooms who would, cut out pieces of, newspaper text, or tell you couldn't speak certain words, or paragraphs of your newscast. And on newspapers, they left white spaces where uh, for a while, until that was made illegal. But they left the white spaces where those censors had taken out so much vital information. Now, I escaped a lot of that because I was working for an independent station out of another country, technically. But it's unbelievable how much censorship there was there, and how impactful this can be, even if you don't actively censor stuff, even if you're not actually taking copy out of a newspaper. The psychological impact of having someone like that is going over everything you're doing, means you've got to self-censor first. And that's exactly what they're after. So, it's a tragedy that such a great place like CBS News is having to go through this.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Sorry, finish your thought.
No, that
I
was it.
just wanted to answer.
Yeah.
Two questions. One, someone asked, is Clinton and Obama suing Trump? I don't believe as president he can be sued. I think he's protected by it.
He also has
They can sue.
immunity. I think they both have somewhat immunity because of the SCOTUS ruling about Trump's immunity. I think it is also applied to him. So I can't imagine this is going to float anywhere, but they're going to try.
The point is not to see Obama in jail, even though they'd love to. The point is the propaganda, like a theater spectacle of having an indictment, having, people, because even if a court throws out the case, just having that spectacle is enough. I
Mhm.
mean, not just even domestically, but even how people view America, and every country around the world sees what is happening with what Tulsi Gabbard and Radcliffe and the rest of them are doing. It is so dangerous because they are weaponizing intelligence as if we live in a bubble, as if every country, every ally and enemy can see what's happening. Now, tell me, what normal ally would share intelligence with the U.S. knowing that it can be politicized to go after political opponents? Not to mention what Hegseth did. We're still coming out with more Hegseth news with his signal gate that he was indeed sharing top secret
Yeah,
classified information. I mean, so this really have dangerous, not just domestically, but dangerous consequences for us down the road, because if we don't have intelligence sharing with our allies, we are sitting ducks who can be hit domestically or abroad. So,
absolutely. I can't imagine any nation is sharing right now with our intelligence services when they come up with things like this. But of course, the point is the base is in a bubble, and because the base is in a bubble, they can feed them whatever they want. So,
absolutely.
so
And
that's
then
the
someone, sorry to cut you
no
off.
worries.
Sorry,
No
go
worries. Go
ahead,
ahead.
finish.
No, I was finished.
And then someone had another question that state media control independent. In Russia they do. What they did is quietly infiltrate independent media outlets, and eventually by 2019 they listed all independent media outlets as foreign agents, and as a result it's basically like a terrorist designation. Anyone dealing with them will hate code be prosecuted. But at the same time, in Russia, they immediately started infiltrating any kind of independent outlets. And it was also followed with death threats, with murders of journalists. So you had a lot of people either self-censoring or fleeing abroad,
Or
because they
imprisoned. There's a lot of
simply.
cases of people being imprisoned under false charges, or they became very, very, very cruel. It's a very, very nervous state of affairs for most journalists, I think, covering the story right now. It's a very difficult time. That is the Trump tyranny track, because you're about to go on to Julie in a few minutes, I think. So everyone should tune in there. I'll be back at 3 o'clock with with the 5 stack, the top 5 stories of the day with Dean Blundell. And we shall see you then. Check out narrative.org, Narativ.org, where I'm running a series called The Greatest Heist, which looks at the money crimes, the financial crimes going back decades, 4 decades, involving both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. It's a really interesting series. Part 3 came out yesterday. Part 4 is quite a bombshell. So everyone should wait for that. It's coming out either tomorrow or the next day. So I'm looking forward to all of you checking that out.
And lastly, tomorrow we have our session for the Authoritarianism 101 course. It's actually going to be on subverting elections. So if you haven't registered for it, make sure you do. The registration link is up. And for people who did, we'll see you tomorrow night.
It starts at 8 p.m., but you have to register by 7, and we'll share the link again on all our various blogs. Thank you very much for being here on the Trump Tyranny Tracker. My voice is cracking, but
Narrative.org, Narativ.
N-A-R-A, yes. I should spell this all the time because people get it so wrong. Narativ .org. So there you go. Thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow, and we'll see you again at 3 o'clock. And don't forget to check out Olga and Julie right now.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye, love.